In the day's Scots virtual religious service reading will be open and we, musical composition 14, followed by the second interlude in the book of Revelation on the third vision of York. Musical composition 14. If he says to himself, "There's nae almighty," there are chancey, din raison on none of them die ony greed. And Master Jesus looks down ver been on all York Thompson's bairns, to see gin there be ony we sense ought me sick him out. But they're all tarred wi' a same brush, ilka een as feel as a tither. There's naebody to dig ony greed, no, none of all. Have they nae sense, says the Master Jesus? They et up ither folk as they would et a slice of bread, and never speer for me. But syne they'll be terrified, 'cause Almighty is wi' them far riches. Cards cannot a plans o appear, but the Master Jesus will look after them. Gin Israel's saving myth come out of Zion, van a Master Jesus fesses back his folk to the reign. Let Jacob be merry, and Israel be glad. And now for the second interlude, chapter 7 in the book of Revelation. Chapter 7. After this, I saw 4 sins standing at the 4 nooks of a wall, holding back a 4 winds of a wall, said nae wind should blow on the land, nor on the sea, nor on ony tree. Syne I saw another send risen up out of the east, carrying a seal o a living Almighty, and as he roared out to him to 4 sins, for hid a poor to Canuck along on a sea. Dinna harm a sea, nor a land, nor a trees, till siccan a time, as we've set a seal o'er Almighty on a brew o his servants. And I heard a number of them, for he'd gotten a seal. It was 144,000, for all clans o bairns o Israel. 12,000 for tribe of Judah, 12,000 for tribe of Reuben, 12,000 for tribe of Gad, 12,000 for tribe of Asher, 12,000 for tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 for tribe of Manasseh, 12,000 for tribe of Simeon, 12,000 for tribe of Levi, 12,000 for tribe of Issachar, 12,000 for tribe of Zebulun, 12,000 for tribe of Joseph, and 12,000 for tribe of Benjamin. After this, I looked and saw a muckle collie shangy, mair nor ony chill could count, for all countries, all clans and folks on all kind of foreign tongues, standing afore a throne, on a lamb, all wearing white gowns and wi' palm branches i' their hands. They all cried out to them, agither, "Salvation belongs to our Almighty, for sits on a throne, and to a lamb." Syne all the sins steed round about the throne, and the elders and the 4 beasts, and they plopped down afore a throne wi' their faces till a groan, and worshipped Almighty, saying, "Say be it, blessing and esteem, and wisdom, and thanksgiving, and honour, and power, and might to be to our Almighty forever and ever. Say be it." Syne een o' the elders spake to my spearing, "Is chills wi' a white gowns, far would they be, and far would they be fae?" And I said to him, Ye cannot find my master. And he said to me, His chills have come through a guy sair time o' it. They've washen their goons, and fightened them in a bleed o' a lamb. That's a why they new talk their stance afore a throne o' Almighty, and ser him day and nicht in his temple. And him fa sits on a throne will dwell amo them. Never again will they ken hunger, nor thirst. A sin winna beat doon on them, and they'll never suffer fa being our het. 'Cause a lammy, fa's at the heart o' a throne, will be their shepherd, and will lead them to a rippling burnie. And Almighty will dick the wa tearies fa their een. Anew the third vision in the book of Revelation, chapter 8. Nu, van he broke a seventh seal, there wasna a soon in heaven for about a half an hour. Syne I looked on the 7 sins, at steed afore Almighty were gien 7 tutoroots. Syne another send come and steed at the altar, holding a golden censer. He was gien a great muckle heap of incense, to offer up wi' a prayers o' all a pure ains, on a golden altar at steed afore the throne. On the reek o' a incense raised up afore Almighty fa the sins han, along wi' a prayers o' us pure ains. Syne the send took a censer and filled it wi' fire fa the altar, and hurled it doon upo the earth. And there was thunder and lightning and an earthquake. Syne a 7 sins, at were holding a 7 tutoroots, set out to blow them. A first een blew, and hailstones and fire mixed in wi' bleed appeared, and was hurled upo the earth. A third o' a whirl was brunt. A third o' trees were brunt, and ilka blade o' green gorse was brunt. A second send blew, and fit looked like a muckle blazing mountain was flung into a sea. A third o' a sea was turned to bleed. A third o' all living craters in a sea deet, and a third o' all a boaties come to crockanation. A third send blew, and a muckle star shoot out o' a lift, blazing like a flashy, and fell on a third o' all it burns, and springs o' water. And a star is called wormwood. And a third o' a water turned to wormwood, and mony folk were killed 'cause a water was poisoned. A fourth send blew, on a third part o' a sin, a third part o' a mean, and a third o' a stars were strucken. A third part o' a licht o' ilka een o' them was blecked out. Seeing there was nae licht for a third part o' a day, and a third part o' a nicht. Syne I looked and heard an eagle, screeking out o' it as it flew in the midst o' heaven. Wally, 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 to off abide in the warl, for soon comes fair to the roots, at the tither 3 sins Mont Blanc. Chapter 9. Syne a 5th sin blew, and I saw a star, at had fallen down fa heaven to earth, and he was gien a kye till a bottomless pit, and he opened the pit, and a yom o' reek, like a reek o' a muckle furnace, raised out o' it. And a licht o' a sin, and the air itself was blecked out wi' a reek fa a pit. And out o' a reek come locusts doon on o' a groon, and they were gien the poor as in o' scorpions in a whirl. They had orders nae to harm ony gorse, nor ony green growing planties, nor ony tree, but to die ill to folk, for didna hae a seal almighty on their bruise. But they weren't again a poor to deal war with them, but just to tyrannize them for 5 months. On a tyrannizing was to be sere like a job o' a scorpion. In 2 days, chills will seek death, but they'll never come on it. They'll be mangin' to wear a war, but death winna come till them. A locust looketh for all a while like horses set out for effect. On their heads they had fit looked to be like crowns of gold. Their looks were like a looks o' a man, and they had long hair like wifeys. Their teeth were like a teeth o' a lion, and their breasts were like iron breastplates. On a flopping o' their wings was like a soon o' mony chariots, on horses charging till effect. They had tails like scorpions, wi' stongs in o' them. We a poor to tyranny's folk for 5 months. There was a lad in charge of them, the send o' a bottomless pit, for was called in a Hebrew tongue, Abaddon, and in a Greek tongue, Apollyon. It was a horror out a why, but there was yet twa to come. A sock send sign blue, on a hair device spicken fair four nooks o' a golden altar at stands afore Almighty. It said till a sock send, wi' a tutorut, Lot lost of four sins for bun at the muckle water o' a Euphrates. On this 4 sins for had been made ready for the hour, a day, a month, on the year, were set lost to deal war wi' a third part o' mankind. They had 200 million horsemen, or so they said. On sign in my vision, I saw a horse, and all a chills on them. They had breastplates o' brick reed, on blue, on yalla. On a horse's heads looked like a heads o' lions. On out to their moos come reek and fire and brimstone. Biz 3, oughts to say, a reek and a fire and a brimstone had come gushing out to their moos. A third part of mankind was killed, 'cause their poor is in their moos, and in their tails. Their tails were like snakes wi' heads, and wi' them they dee muckle ill. A lave o' mankind, for werena killed bis tyrannation, didna haud a wa for work o' their ain hands, nor did they haud for worshipping deals, and needles made out of gold, and silver, and brass, and steen, and wood, at canna see, nor hear, nor meve. And they didna have a changing thoughts and feelings on their murthering, sorcery, whoring, or thieving. Chapter 10. Syne I saw another mighty send, coming down fra heaven, clad in a cloud, wi' a rainbow round his head. His face blazed like a sun, and his legs were like pillars of fire. He had a wee bucky lying open in his hand. He planted his right foot on a sea, and his left foot on a lawn. Syne he roared out to him, wi' a voice like that o' a lion. And when he roared, 7 thunders lifted their voices. I was gone awa to write down what the 7 thunders had said, when I heard a voice fra heaven saying to me, seal up what the 7 thunders said, but dinna write it down. Syne the send, for I had seen standing wi' a foot on a sea, and a foot on a land, rocked his hand up to heaven, and swore by him for lives forever and ever, for created heaven and all thing in it, and a land and all thing on it, and a sea and all thing in it. There'll be nae more standing about. In the days that are about to be announced, by a blaw on a tutorut or a seventh send, Almighty's hardened purpose will be finished, just as he said till his servants the prophets. On a voice at I heard fra heaven spake till me eens meer. Go wa and tak a wee bukie at's lying open in a hand o' a send, wi' a fit on a land, and a fit on a sea. Say I gaed ower to the send, and spirt at him to gie me a wee bukie. And he said to me, Tak it and eat it up. It'll mak your stomach sour, bit sweet as honey in your moo. And I took a wee bukie out o' a send's hand, and ate it up. And it was as sweet as honey in my moo, but as soon as I had eaten it, I had a guy sair guts. Syne they said to me, Ye maun prophesy again about mony folk and countries, and tongues and kings. Chapter 11. I was gi'n a long stick like a miserin rod, and tilled, new young and miser Almighty's temple, on the altar and couldn't fu mony are worshipping there. But leave out the outer court o' a temple, and dinna miser it, 'cause it's been gi'n ower till the Gentiles. And they'll trump ower a pure tune for 42 month. I'll send my 12 witnesses to prophesy, rig it out in sackcloth, all through 1260 days. This is a 12 olive trees, on a 12 candlesticks at stand afore a Almighty o' a warl. Gin onybody seeks to dee them ill, fire pours out to their moos, and burns up their face. In that way, gin ony chill does them ill, he'll be deen awa wi. His witnesses have a power to shut up a lift, and to stop a rain for falling when they are preaching. Moreover, they have a power to turn water into bleed, and to strike a warl wi' ony kind of pest, whenever they went. But when they're through wi' their witnessing, a beast will come out o' a bottomless pit, gang to war wi' them, get the better o' them, and deal awa wi' them. Their dead bodies will lie in the streets o' a muckle town, called by them, wi' spiritual understanding, Sodom and Egypt, a very place for where Master Jesus was hanged on a stake. For 3.5 days, chills fae all lands and clans and tongues and nations will gulp at their bodies, and winna let them be buried. A folk for bide in a warl will gloat over them, and hae a rare tear, and gie in another prisons. 'Cause his 12 prophets had brought sic a tyrannies into a folk o' a warl. But at the end o' 3.5 days, a breath o' life fae Almighty come into them, and they steed up on their feet, and all wha saw them were terrified. Syne a muckle voice was heard speaking to them fra heaven, saying, Come awa up here. And they gaed up to heaven, in a cloud on their face saw them. And that same minute, there was a muckle earthquake. A 10th part o' a town was dung down, and 7,000 folk were kent to have been lost in the earthquake. 11 were terrified, and gied a stem to Almighty o' heaven. That was a second horror out o' a way. But look, see, Here's a third een comin' hard ahine. Syne a seventh send blew, and there was muckle voices in heaven sayin', "A poor to roll o'er a warl, new belongs to our Master Jesus, and to his anointed een, and he'll reign forever and ever." And 24 elders sitting on their thrones afore Almighty plopped down on their faces, and worshipped Almighty, saying, "We thank ye, Master Almighty, for is, and was, and is to come. Ye've ta'en on your muckle poor, and have turned out to be king. A countries o' a warl were raised, but new a time o' your honour is come, and we it a time for a deed to be judged, and for reward to be given to your servants, a prophets and the Pureens, and them for fear your name, baith great and small. Now's a time to fest crockenation on them for fest crockenation on a warl." Sign, Almighty's temple in heaven was opened, and a covenant boxy could be seen. And there was lightning flashing and thunder rumbling, all kind of din, an earthquake, and a storm of hailstones. And that concludes our reading. Get yourself a copy of the All New Testament to follow along, rendered by Gordan Hay in the Doric dialect of the Scots language. Till next time, be heartened, be zealful, and endure till the end.